Hello everybody and welcome back to another video where today we have for the first time ever just released an article with some of the latest Lord of the Rings of Power news and updates. And interestingly, I'm sure it's been up for about half an hour now, and it is something which is one of the more interesting and maybe say a bit more controversial things that we have released. And I'm sure that people are going to be quite opinionated on the matter, and also what side do you believe, who do you think's right, which storyline do you think should have preference, and why is this situation even happening? And just want to first of all from the start say it's not a be all and end all situation. It's not like, as said in the article at the bottom, it's not like these two sides are fighting and it's toxic behind the scenes. It's just literally just professional opinions and people having different opinions and they're sorting it out. So it's all in a professional and normal manner. But the interesting thing here is that still the show in season one we didn't get to see much of Numenor, and I think most of it we just saw through the lens of Galadriel. But now in season two, are we going to even be seeing it that much at all? As according to the article, and we will have other Fresh Fans members after me giving their opinions. It seems like the editor so far has been one cut that's done, and currently that cut does not have that much Numenor in it as the producers want. And apparently, some of the more important Numenor scenes have been cut, which is quite interesting. And that leads us onto the thing where the producers are now deciding, this is not correct. Now, when we're trying to cut down footage to meet the episode run times of probably an hour something, they now want Numenor scenes to be prioritized. So, and instead, right now, it seems like in the cut there's a lot of Elven stuff, and they want to get it a bit more balanced. So it's an interesting discussion now, because the reasoning for the editors is solely around the fact that they believe the show should lead up to the 2 episode battle, but really the producers don't see it that way and believe Numenor is an important factor, and if not having that much screen time in season two, it might have longer effects on the show down the line come season 3, 4, and 5 if we don't have that development. So it's an interesting debate, and for my thoughts on it, so that's basically a summary of the article, but we go into more detail and it's all clarified there. So go to www.fellowshipfans.com to make sure that the article link will be the first thing in the description, and also go to our Discord as well, where you'll be able to discuss this news, and it has probably been going on for the last half an hour. But I just believe I wished they would have known beforehand how to balance these two storylines, or how much of Numenor they were going to do, because this is what happens when there's so many different storylines. You have the Half-Foot storyline, and then they're trying to fit it into 8 episodes around an hour a bit. So it's an interesting discussion, but I do believe I wish that something like this would have been sorted out beforehand. Of course, the potential of the showrun is not really getting involved because of the strikes could be an issue. Don't know, because you'd have thought they would have some deciding factor in this. But yes, so basically that is about it around that and my opinions on it. And now we'll move on to some other Fellowship Fans members' opinions on this matter.
Cassie, you have read our article on the BTS conflict between editors and producers over storylines and particular Numenor. What is your initial opinion to the news, and what side are you on, if any? Okay, so this is a big news. There is a little bit of mess behind the scenes, but I just quickly want to tell everyone that this absolutely happens behind the scenes on movies and shows. Like it isn't that much of a big deal, but it's interesting to know that editors envision season 2 as build up to the big battle of Eregion, while the production or producers they think that Numenor should also get like a lot of prominence, considering that Numenor is going to be very prominent going forward, while elves most likely will fall into the background, like later until the big war of the Last Alliance. So because we gave our fans a lot of scopes about Elven's storyline, I'm kind of leaning more to the side of editors because I know that storyline better, and it makes sense to me that they want to emphasize it. But we'll see. We'll see. I can't say anything final. Like it's going to be interesting. We are talking about two really big storylines, so it's going to be interesting to see what everyone else thinks. So yeah, yeah, I'm excited to like see how it's all going to end and which will prevail, Numenor or Battle of Eregia. So yeah.
Greetings, everyone. So, the recent Fellowship of Fans article really has proposed that there are leaks suggesting that the the editing team on the show are lobbying in effect to cut of the other storylines, especially the Elven one, in favor of a more Numenor-centric storytelling. And, I think a lot of people, and probably some people on the production crew as well, see this show as the Numenor show. This was a thing since the very earliest maps. I think Numenor is very, prominent in people's minds regarding the Second Age, but as it is, the show that the showrunners have been setting up is Elven centric. The two really main characters are Galadriel and Elrond. The event that closed season one was the forging of the Elven Rings, and the major event that we've been hearing about for season two has been a two-episode battle at Region. And so this trend of focusing on Numenor, which was somewhat apparent in the first season, where episode 3 to episode 6, I guess it was, were very, very featured Numenor very prominently, even though not much really was happening there as opposed to the Southlands, for example. And I suppose this is sort of the same thing, whereby the showrunners have a lot of things happening in Elvendom, as it were, but the allure of Numenor is sort of attracting both them and or some of their production crew into focusing on that more. And obviously, in the editing of a show, there is only so much focus you can give to every single thing. As an example, the Aryan stuff in season one, and that's okay. The nature of things is that you cut stuff out. But I have to wonder whether it is really wise to push towards focusing on Numenor. But it's a difficult thing to tell without actually being privy to the footage, and even seeing the finished article, you don't know what will have been there that was cut. Still, it's intriguing, but possibly a little bit disconcerting. In two minds on this, but a little bit worried possibly. But we'll have to wait and see. Um, that's my thoughts on our latest little write up, and I'll be with you again when the opportunity next comes.
So, we've got some interesting news regarding the editing team versus the producers team ideas in the background of the show. Um, that is an interesting one. The Numenorian storyline is, I think, of all the storylines in the show, the Numenorian storyline is, it might be the most popular because that's from that storyline we get so much in the in the third age. We get from the Numenorian storyline we get Gondor and Arnor and all of those characters, like all the some of the biggest characters in the Lord of the Rings universe come from this will come from this Numenorian storyline. And it's interesting to see how they will balance this. Again, the biggest fear I have for the success of this show is probably the very limited screen time that they have at their hands. And I think this is a very good example of how dangerous it is for the whole story. The fact that the Elvish or like Eregion storyline may suffer because of Numenorian storyline, or Numenorian storyline because of the Eregion storyline, is a huge problem. And I'm hoping that they will find the right balance to it. I know, I know, we all know, like we watched, a lot of us have watched Game of Thrones, and that show juggled several storylines really well. So we had the battle on the wall happening in this one episode. It's like a huge battle, and then the next episode, or maybe at the start or the end of the wall battle on the wall episode, we had something happening with Daenerys. We had something happening with Arya. There was storyline King's Landing. Um, they made it work. Now the one advantage they had was they could have gone as many seasons as they wanted to. That's another issue that that show had, but the hope is that they will find the perfect balance here, because these are two very important storylines, especially now. And this is, as I said, like this is the culmination of the Reagan storyline. But we also need to see all the setup that they need to do for the Numenorian storyline, which is already going to have to be super condensed. It's going to lose a lot of thematic importance, because it's actually supposed to be happening over several hundred years. So we can see why Numenor has the fate that it has. So yeah, it's good that people are being passionate about this. It's good that both of these storylines, which are probably the two key storylines in the show, um, it's good that there are people supporting both of those. Hopefully, they will find a proper way to balance them out. At least if it's like quality versus quantity, maybe we don't have to get a lot of scenes in like Numenorian storyline, but those scenes then better be really good. And even though I like Numenorian storyline, I like Numenor a lot, much more than Eregion. This is the culmination of the Eregion arc, and it's essential for the show called Rings of Power. So I do hope that this storyline and the impact of the final two episodes will be done and set up well. So yeah, hopefully they find a way to balance this in the best way possible. Let's hope.
Hey, folks. First, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can be alerted immediately every time I come and take you guys and gals to Khazad Doom University. Do it. And I mean, what are we even talking about here, folks? A little behind the scenes drama, producers, editors not sure what to focus on. Talking about focus on elves, focus on Numenorians. Let me tell you what to focus on, brother. You need to focus on the greatest race to ever grace Middle Earth, Arda, Khazad-dûm University. The kind of people who can shut their doors and keep Sauron away. Obviously, dwarves weren't the focus of season 1. Obviously, they're not the focus of season 2. But guess what? Sometimes you don't need to pull up and shoot a 3 from the half-court line. Sometimes you just take the easy play. And the layup is there. Take the layup. Score the points. Focus on the dwarves, man. I don't know how many times I have to say it before y'all start listening to me. But if come season 3, they are not the focus, I don't know what else we are going to do as a fan base. Focus on the dwarves!
And that was it. That was the thoughts of Fellowship of Fans on the latest bit of news from behind the scenes of Rings of Power. Interesting things happening there. Two storylines basically competing for the most screen time. It's interesting. It's important bit of news. And we all hope that they find a way to find like the best compromise so that everybody wins. At least in some way. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone tuning in for this, and hopefully we'll see you next time.